Hello and welcome to Super OK, where we try to do a decent enough job to entertain people with our opinions on video games. As always, my name is Dale, and I am joined here by one of my absolute favorite human beings on the planet, and his name is Tubbs. Tubbs, how are you doing today, man?
I am doing lovely. How are you?
You know, I'm actually really sore. I helped one of our mutual friends, Billy, move yesterday, and we had to do some other stuff right before I recorded the podcast. We'll talk about that in a minute. So all of my muscles feel like I am, I don't know, somewhere in my middle ages. And man, it sucks. Getting old sucks.
I mean, you are somewhere in your middle ages. So.
Yeah, but I normally don't feel it because I just kind of loaf around. But now that I've been physically active for 2 days in a row, it's like, oh, I'm old. My bones hurt.
I'll be honest, like I wasn't available anyway, but I have stopped helping people move. I am aware I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I get it, man. It's tough work.
All the best to Billy.
I feel good afterwards. You know,
yeah.
I like helping people move, but man, I'm paying for it the day after for sure.
I will sit in your house and unpack your books for you, but
everybody needs
the physical part.
Everybody needs a raccoon to just rifle through their personal things. So
yeah, there you go.
You know, it's perfect. That's a form of helping.
Yeah, bizarre. I'm helping.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so this is a video game podcast, but every week we start instead with a highlight of our week. This is the thing that made our week a little bit better, a little bit brighter, a little bit nicer to live in. We always let our guests go first. So Tubbs, what was your highlight of the week?
So my week has been full of little tiny highlights, but I chose to just pick one, which is going to be what I'm calling my triumphant return to Yardbird. The background on this is my company every year has a conference, basically an internal conference where the company, or maybe in this case just the North and South American offices, all go to one place for a couple of days to have meetings, talk about things that are going on in the company. They have parties in the evening, just kind of things like that. And because of my choice of airline is Southwest, because they have a very generous second seat policy, and it's much more comfortable for me to fly with a second seat. So their flight times suck. And basically my choices were leave a day early and spend an extra day away from home in Miami, or fly out at like 6 a.m, meaning I would have to leave my house at like 3 a.m. to get to the airport on time. So I chose the Sunday option, which gave me, an extra night in a hotel and a chance to basically go out to dinner by myself. So 8 years ago, I went to Miami for work for the same thing. And I tried to go to this restaurant called Yardbird. It's like an upscale Southern restaurant, originally opened by a guy who was on Top Chef, who has since left the Yardbird family. And when I got there, there was I didn't do any research other than the menu. I took an Uber to the restaurant, and they had a 2.5 hour wait for a table for lunch. It was like 2:30 in the afternoon. And they said, but the wait time doesn't matter. We won't seat you if you're by yourself, because we're not going to give up a table when we're as busy as we are for just one person.
Jesus.
So, yeah. So I was very, very dejected, but I was able to this time make a reservation just for myself. And when I got to Miami, I got settled into my hotel, got an Uber, went to Yardbird, and had a absolutely incredible meal. Honey butter biscuits, mac and cheese, fried chicken, an old fashioned, and banana pudding cheesecake.
Oh.
And it was so good. And it was just outstanding. It was my second time going to Yardbird. I'd been to the one in Vegas, but this was the original. And it was so good. And then I woke up the next morning and got a stomach bug that I had picked up from my kid. And no food stayed in me the next day for the rest of the day. I missed the whole first day of meetings. I was dehydrated. I thought I was going to die. I almost went to the hospital. And then Gatorade turned me right around.
I mean, you love a Gatorade.
I do love a Gatorade. But yeah, Yardbird, being able to finally go to Yardbird 8 years to the day, according to my Facebook memories, 8 years to the day from my first attempt, was something of a victory, and the food was so good.
That meal sounds immaculate. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, oh, it's traditional Southern fare, and then you got to banana pudding, and I was like, I bet their banana pudding fucks. And then you said banana pudding cheesecake, and that threw me for a loop. That like really surprised me. I imagine it was so good.
It is traditional Southern fare. Traditional Southern fare costs $118 for one person.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very expensive, but very good. I wasn't paying for it. So
do you think it was worth it?
Probably not, but it was very, very good. If I was paying for it by myself, I probably would have ordered differently and it wouldn't have been that expensive.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I get a certain amount of expense every day, and I used it all on that. I used it all on that dinner.
You gotta love a per diem.
I do.
I love a per diem.
So yeah, it was great.
Nice. I have one additional question for you because you mentioned that this was a week full of little highlights of your week.
Yeah.
Don't explain any part of it. I just want to know what's one that we didn't get to hear about.
Without explaining any of them, I'll just say getting to come back home after a few days and see my wife. Going and meeting up with my board game friends and playing 2 new games that I absolutely loved, Wabash Cannonball and Innovation. And yesterday, my brother and I went to my parents' house and smoked pork butts with my dad while our wives and my mom made strawberry jam. So we spent the whole day over there basically making food. And it was fun. Lovely. We butted heads a few times, but it was fun.
It sounds lovely. That's great.
So
nice. My highlight of the week is related to the physical labor that I had to do earlier, because we are in the home stretch of being able to move back into my house. For people who are brand new to the podcast or have blocked me complaining out of their minds, we have not been in our home since September of last year. So we're coming up on we're in the 10th month right now. We're coming up on almost 11 months out of our home to basically have our house lifted, the basement removed, a new basement put in, and then our house put back down. The original quote on this was that it would be finished by the end of December. We apparently forgot to ask what year. And so it is still going on right now. Our new estimate is that we will be moved back in by the middle of July. But obviously, it's got to pass all these inspections. And there were some things that were going wrong with the house, or that became wrong with the house while it was up on stilts, that need to be done for it to pass inspection, that Ange and I have decided either we are going to have our friends do, so that way we don't have to, slow down the contractor any further, pay any additional funds to them, that sort of thing. And one of those things, for some reason, I don't understand this, but for some reason, the front porch being painted is really, really important to loan companies. Like, really important. Like, it's got to be flawless. Right? Yes, that's my thought, Tubbs. Andrew's looking at me like I'm crazy, but Tubbs gave me the same, I'm vindicated. Anyway, I'm going to stop looking at you. I'm vindicated, and that's the end of the conversation. You don't have a microphone. So anyway, we have to repaint basically the whole porch before it'll pass inspection. And luckily, one of our friends has this crazy thing that I didn't know exists, that is an infrared heater that is designed to basically boil the paint off the side of a building or a door or something. And so we were using that today on our porch to get all the old paint off, so that way we can paint it like properly, instead of what we did the first time we had to repaint our porch and just kind of slap some shit paint over existing shit paint. So we're trying to do that for real, but it's hot out, and this thing gets to like boiling temperatures because it's boiling paint, and then you scrape the paint off, and it's so satisfying when it comes right off. It's amazing to see the wood that's underneath and like all of the detail that's been painted over by layer after layer. But it is also hot as balls, and you're holding like a boiling thing, and it's heavy, and my arms hurt from helping people move, and so I was like a whiny little baby the whole time. But we got it all done. And that is one step closer to us moving back into our house, which I just absolutely cannot wait for.
I had the great honor, I think, of being the first friend to go in the house 2 weeks ago when we went to the train station, and it was crazy just to be in your.
Yeah, it doesn't even feel like we live there. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, I can't, like, I'm interested to see what it's like when you guys actually go back and see if you'll feel weird.
I mean, yeah, we will feel weird until we don't feel weird anymore. But we're gonna have so much shit to do when we get back in that house that it's not like we're gonna have like a rest period or anything. It's just gonna be like, let's get straight to it, you know?
Yeah, I don't envy you. I would have burned my house to the ground by now.
I've thought about it.
I would have just left it open for the raccoons and then burned it to the ground.
Thought long and hard about it, bud. Decided not to, but thought long and hard about it. Yeah.
Oh man, I just had this like terrible thought of like, what if it catches fire the night before you guys are supposed to move back in? Oh, that would be terrible.
I will not be happy with that.
I wouldn't either.
I will not be happy at all. That would be like a reverse Christmas for me.
I like that. I like that phrase. Reverse Christmas.
It'd be the worst. It would suck so
Obviously,
bad.
that's not going to happen. But
I mean, if you've got wood near you, listener, please knock on it, because Jesus Christ, Tubbs, why'd you put that out in the universe? Anyway,
to make it sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Thanks, man. That's how that works. That's how that works.
Things don't happen to good people.
Yeah, sure.
And Ange is a good person.
Ange is a great person. Yes. So I'm excited because that's what's next for us, is like moving back into our house. Speaking of things that are next, recently Steam had a Steam Next Fest. Steam Next Fest. I'll try it until I get it right. And I got it in one. First try, first take. No one will ever know. Anyway, Steam Next Fest. And what Steam does during this time frame is they have a whole bunch of indie games that they highlight and put out demos for. And then there's like live streams of these demos being played, and they promote all of these indie games. And it's really, really a great time. And they do it twice a year. And this is quickly becoming like one of my favorite things to mess around with in that time frame, because you get to try all of these new, fun, awesome games. And so what we thought we'd do today, Tubbs and I, is we would go through some of the games that we have tried. Maybe we tried them for 5 minutes. Maybe like some of these we tried for several hours. And we're just going to give you what our impressions are of them, whether or not it's something worth wish listing, whether or not it's something that we'll be picking up when it comes out, if the hype is real, all of that sort of thing. So without further ado, I'm going to hop right in. And the first game that I tried, Tubbs, is one called Flintlock. Now, this is a game that's got a lot of hype. It comes out in July, so it's not long from now. And this is basically like a Souls-like experience with like better movement and like kind of some platforming, which if you've played any of the Dark Souls or any of the games in that, listeners, you know that, movement in Dark Souls is typically pretty rigid. They opened it up a little bit in Elden Ring, but they did not open it up like in this. There's like jumping and air dodging and all sorts of that sort of thing. And everybody says that this is supposed to be like a Souls-like. To me, it kind of felt like if you mix Souls games and Devil May Cry, because it has this really interesting combo mechanic where as you are fighting enemies, you're earning reputation is their version of Souls, the currency in game. And it's like, oh, did you pull a sweet like sliding slash? That gives you an extra 5% to your reputation. And did you pull an air dodge? Great, that gives you an extra 10% to your reputation. Did you kill this enemy differently than you killed that enemy? Oh, you get an extra 20%. What's interesting about this is that you can bank this reputation by holding down a button at any time. But if you get hit, you lose all of your reputation for that combo. Oh. Right? So it's like a push your luck kind of mechanic in the middle of battle, which is really crazy. The even crazier part is this can carry over from battle to battle to battle to battle. So you can like kill one guy, have some reputation saved up, go kill another guy, don't bank your reputation beforehand, and now all of your multipliers from that first battle affect the second battle and so on. So you can really snowball the currency in this game, which is interesting.
Huh. Yeah, I'm looking at some. You're good.
No, it's fine. I was going to say it's definitely a unique take on this formula. It's something I want to see more of. I put it on my wish list. I don't know that this is going to be a day one purchase for me, but I am really like very excited for this. I think it's going to be really good when it comes out.
It does look really cool. I'm just looking at like gameplay footage right now. It does look very cool.
Yeah.
I have never completed any sort of Souls-like game. I played I can't remember the name of it. Is there one that starts with a B?
Bloodborne.
Yes, I played Bloodborne for about 10 hours.
Okay.
And was finally I got through like the first big boss and I was finally starting to get the hang of it. And then as I'm about to discuss, I got distracted by a bumblebee and forgot the game ever existed. So
yeah.
It does look cool though. I've noticed with the Next Fest, I didn't know this, that some of the demos are already gone.
Oh yeah. They all go away when the Next Fest is done.
So some are still there. Like I've been able to play. I was able to get some today, but some of them are gone already. So I wonder if this is still available for me to look at or not.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's very cool. Also, the plot is really awesome because you're a character who lives in a world with multiple gods, and your goal is to kill them all, and that's pretty cool. I like a kill all the gods plot.
Are they gods that we know, or are they new gods?
New pantheon. You're not like killing Jesus or anything like that. But it's pretty
nobody's
cool.
Made a game where you kill Jesus, and I take real issue with that.
I guarantee there have been several games where you kill Jesus, and I also guarantee that every one of them sucks.
I'd like there to be a AAA title where you kill Jesus.
Never gonna happen, but I'm right there with you, bud.
Yeah.
All right. So what have you tried out? What was the Next Fest game that you really you tried? I don't want to put words in your mouth about whether or not you enjoyed it.
So I spent the most time with one game because, as I was telling you before, when I landed in Baltimore and had a layover, I'm like, oh yeah, Next Fest, and I'm gonna I had one demo downloaded. Like, I'm gonna download a bunch more and play them in my hotel room.
Yeah.
And as I was downloading demos, I saw that Stardew Valley was on sale, and I'd heard Xando and Mel talk about it. I was like, I'm going to look at this. And then I lost my life. Everything is about planting crops and killing little slime balls in the mines and fishing. That's all I do all day now.
Okay.
So I didn't get a chance to try a lot of these games, but the one that I put the most time into is Dungeon Crawler. Which I would you described to me as, and I will say this is an accurate description, it's Slay the Spire, but instead of cards, you're using a claw machine to get your attacks and defenses. I think this is so much fun. I love it so much. For the amount of time I played it for like an hour, maybe 2 hours. It's a little bit simple in my mind. Like, I didn't get into it ever really being challenging, but maybe that's just because I didn't play for very long. I didn't come up against a room that I couldn't beat without very much stress.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it is a very cool concept. It's a game I can see picking up when it comes out because I really enjoy Slay the Spire, and playing it with a claw machine is just a real clever way to go about it.
Yeah, I also spent some time with this. I think that this was one of the highlights of Steam Next Fest for me. And what was interesting about this to me, there's a ton of games that are like Slay the Spire, but right, like Peglin and that sort of thing. And what was interesting to me about this one is you start and you're like adding new items to your claw machine. And it's like, okay, I can see how this is interesting. And then I got, using Slay the Spire terms, I got a relic. I think this game calls them artifacts or whatever. And it turned one of my claws into a magnet. And so I no longer could pinch down and pick stuff up. Now it was just anything that was metal stuck to my magnet, and I was able to drag that over. And what's interesting about that, on one hand, it's like all your swords, all your daggers, all of your attack items, those are all metal. And so I was dealing massive damage with this thing. But your shields and some of your armor, those are made of wood. And that means that instead, like, I couldn't get them with my second claw. So if I needed to get shield, I had to do it with my first claw. And that's like interesting strategy that I wouldn't have seen coming from this game. Another interesting mechanic is that you can sometimes fill your claw machine with water. Did you ever do that?
I did not get that far, no.
Yeah. And so if you fill your claw machine with water, everything that's wood floats to the top. And so now it's like way easier to get block and way harder to get attack items. And then there's items that turn the water to poison, and that gives you like different buffs and debuffs. So like there's a whole lot of design space in this game. I'm really excited to see what they do with it. But yeah, I really thought that this was a standout from the Next Fest.
Yeah, it's outstanding. It's I can't say nothing is ever a day one buy for me, but I will eventually buy and play this game. It's definitely wishlisted.
Yeah, this definitely went on my wish list as well. A game that I tried that did not go on my wish list was one called Usurper. And this is basically a roguelike chess game where you start with just a king, and every turn you accumulate a power point, I think they call it. I don't remember what they call it. It's basically like mana. And then you have 3 different chess pieces that you can purchase. It costs varying amounts of mana, right? So a pawn is 1 mana, all the way up to a queen being 4 mana. I think a rook is 3, a bishop's 2, a knight's 2, like that sort of thing, right? And the only way that you accumulate mana is by going a turn without spending mana. So if you want a bishop, you basically don't buy anything on your first turn, and then you can spend 2 on your second turn to get a bishop, and then you go back down to 0. And this is a really interesting concept, especially because at turn 80, the board starts going away. The outer edges of the board start going away, and all of the pieces on it get automatically captured. And then so it's like a battle royale, but chess mechanics, kind of. And this is a game I could see someone who loves chess loving this. I will tell you, I am not good enough at chess to enjoy this. It's a really interesting, like, smorgasbord of ideas. And someone out there, this is going to be their favorite game, but that person is not me.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and it doesn't look like there's too much to it to me. And I'm pretty good at chess. I was on a kindergarten championship chess team.
Wow.
Yeah, I did not play in any tournaments, but I was on the team. And I was on the front page of the Detroit Free Press.
Okay.
If I can find it, I'll put it in the Discord. I'll put the picture of me in the Discord. But I'm not good enough at chess even now to do something like this. I can barely like design a strategy and anticipate my opponent's moves with all the pieces. So
see, I didn't even know that was a thing that you could do in chess.
Oh yeah, they always say when you're playing chess, you need to be 8 moves ahead. You need to be thinking 8 moves ahead.
No, man, I'm an in the moment guy. Anyway,
yeah, chess is not for the compulsive.
Yeah. Yep.
So cool. Yeah, I couldn't see myself playing this.
Yeah.
Chess is great. Leave it alone.
What's another one you tried?
So the rest of the ones that I tried today. So they at most got about 20, 25 minutes out of me. Okay. The next one that I tried was called Byte, BYTE, the Bullet. And it starts out, it's a side-scrolling kind of platformer, I guess you call it. It looks a lot like Contra.
Okay.
Like that level of graphics, maybe not even quite that level of graphics, but like it looks like an NES game. And it plays a lot like Contra. And the concept behind it is it's this guy who said, I made this game. I got the idea for this game because I was playing Fortnite and my computer crashed. And I got mad that my computer crashed. And then I came up with the idea of a game where you are essentially the antivirus for a computer that has a virus. And you go down into the computer and then you play through all these side-scrolling platform levels trying to clear out the virus from different places. And the demo levels take place on the video card in the computer, and they're all color-based. So you're a little white figure moving side to side, and you have a gun to shoot enemies. And then if you step on red bricks on the floor, you become red. And then you have the ability to shoot at red enemies and break red bricks. If you step with 1 foot on red and 1 foot on yellow, you become a purple. And so you color code yourself to both solve little puzzles and also avoid taking damage from like falling red or green or blue rain. And then there's like a double jump mechanic and things to get to higher platforms. You're picking up zeros and ones. They're kind of like coins in Mario. And you're just trying to get to the end of these levels. And there's like, I think the demo has like 6 levels. Interesting idea. I don't know that I would necessarily ever play it just because it's pretty like, I have a great love for the games I grew up on. But again, just like what I said about chess, like Contra is perfect. Nobody needs to make anything else that's like Contra. I'll just play Contra.
Interesting. This looks. I'm looking at it on Steam. I did not get a chance to play this one. It's giving me like Mega Man-y vibes.
It's a little bit Mega Man too. Yes.
But it also looks like it's kind of like I don't know, like it's got like an overworld at one part, and it looks like it's paying homage to like ghouls and ghosts and to Mario and that sort of thing. So I don't know. Yeah. This looks cool. It looks fun. I don't know that I'm gonna get into it too much, but it looks fun.
Yeah, it was fine for what it was. I think playing the demo, I was just like, I'm good. That's good enough.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So a demo that I tried to play but couldn't was called Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers. And I was I was bummed that I couldn't play it because I was very excited to do so. But it just would not work on the Steam Deck. In this game, I had actually seen a streamer or a YouTuber or somebody play it. And it's basically like Balatro, but instead of it being poker, it's blackjack, and instead of there being no story, the story is that you're like navigating through like a shady casino, and then like modifying your blackjack deck as you go with all sorts of like crazy shit, like a store credit card and like that sort of thing. So whereas Balatro kind of has like, it's poker and there's some weird stuff that can happen in the jokers, but your deck is pretty much always going to be like cards that you're used to. In this game, it's just absolute batshit lunacy from the get-go. So I really wanted to try this out. I did not get a chance to, but I still put it on my wish list in hopes that they're going to fix the Steam Deck capability, and or I'm in my house where my gaming PC is and I can give it a shot there. So the game that I did get a chance to try that I am very excited about is one called Sworn. And Sworn is basically if Hades were instead set in an Arthurian legend and was 4-player multiplayer.
Huh.
Yes.
Okay. Keep talking.
So it plays almost identically to Hades, with the exception of the fact that instead of there being multiple different weapons that you can pick from, there are 4 different characters that you can play as. And you play as them like individually, and you can go through like a regular campaign like you do in Hades, but then you also can play it multiplayer. And from what I could tell from the demo, I don't know if this is going to be true for the full release, but from what I could tell from the demo, all of the like resources that you earn when you're playing multiplayer, you bring them back to your world when you are playing single player. So it's like, you know how Hades had like the coins and the ambrosia and like that sort of stuff. Like this game has those sort of meta currencies. And when you are playing with friends, you can bring those back to your world and unlock that sort of stuff. And then when the stuff that you have unlocked becomes available to everyone when you're playing in multiplayer. So it seems like really, really interesting mechanics for a multiplayer game. Obviously, the gameplay is nothing new. It plays very, very similar to Hades. The art style is very similar to Hades. Like there's no subterfuge about where their inspiration came from, but Hades was a beautiful game and it played pretty much perfectly. So to your point, like, why mess with things that are not broken? They cribbed a couple things from one of the best games ever made and then put their own little interesting spin on it. And I'm very excited for this.
So I just was watching some gameplay while you were talking, and I actually was about to ask if this was made by the same studio as Hades, and if not, those guys should probably sue them because it looks identical to Hades.
It
like
is.
Right down to just like when you shoot an arrow, the shape of the aiming thing for an arrow is the same. It looks like they just reskinned Hades. However, like you just said, I love Hades. And if you told me there's a 4-player version of Hades, I would play that in a heartbeat. So I'm sold on this.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And I'll be honest with you, it was a little harder than Hades, which I think is going to be important for a multiplayer version of it. So yeah, I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, I'm on board for this.
Yep. Cool. What else have you played?
So, maybe. My monitor just went off. There we go. Maybe we combine these next two because I played them for a sum total of 1.5 minutes between the two of them.
Okay.
One was Drillcore, and the other is Meme Mayhem.
Okay.
Drillcore I played for 45 seconds or so because I just couldn't figure out how it worked. And at first I thought, oh, maybe the controls are mouse and keyboard. So I plugged my Steam Deck into the dock and connected it to my mouse and keyboard. and still couldn't figure out what the hell I was supposed to be doing. And they don't tell you anything, or if they do, I missed it. So I got as far as getting a big drilling machine down to the level where you're supposed to start drilling, and then couldn't figure out how to do anything. So I did not play it. The other one, Meme Mayhem, I abandoned because it looked so stupid that I couldn't handle it. Essentially, what it appears to be, if I'm understanding it, is, I don't want to call it an auto battler because it's certainly not like you design like a deck or anything like that then auto battles, but like you're an internet commenter messing with trolls in the comment section. And from what I could tell, it gives you some options of a comment to make to respond to a troll. And then it takes you into this battle where rocks are going back and forth across the screen and you're not doing anything. And whoever, I guess, has the higher power and doesn't run out of health first wins the battle. And then nothing happens. Maybe there's more to it after that, but I got through one battle and I didn't do anything. This is stupid, and I stopped playing.
All right, fair enough.
So maybe I'm not being fair to it. Maybe I need to give it more time, but from what I could tell, it looks pretty stupid.
Fair. Interesting facts about both of these games. I didn't try either of these, but I know a bunch of people who tried Drill Core and absolutely loved it. They thought it was their game of the Steam Next Fest. And my understanding of this is it's basically like a mining game mixed with a tower defense game. So you mine downward and you like collect resources, and then you spend those resources on towers and missile packs and that sort of thing to collect or to protect your mining operation. And so those are obviously two pretty popular genres. So seeing them mixed together, I can definitely see why someone would have an appeal to this. But I didn't get a chance to try it yet. It does look like the demo is still available though, so I might give it a shot.
Here's what I'll say.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me just say this about Drill Core. That sounds great, what you described, and maybe they needed just a brief tutorial to show me how to make the game go, and then maybe I could have enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I mean, also a lot of these games are still like unpolished, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's possible that it is mouse and keyboard, but it didn't recognize it because you plugged it in while the game was already launched. You know, there's a million different things that could have gone wrong here. So I'm not blaming you or the game. I'm just trying to give it a fair shake.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Meme Mayhem. I actually watched somebody try this out on like a YouTube video, and it is definitely an auto battler. And what was interesting about it was the fact that you mentioned that you're not like building up a deck or anything like that. You actually draft like your attacks, and some of your attacks will heal you, some of your attacks will weaken the enemy, some of your attacks will make your next attack more potent. And so basically, like, it's still an auto battler, but it's the things that you're playing that you're drafting, as opposed to like characters who are fighting for you, or like a Super Auto Pets, or Fairy Tale Fables, or that a Team Fight Tactics. It's a different style of auto battler, and that demo is also still live. So if that sounds interesting to you, you can try it out, listener. I probably am not, because to Tubbs' point, the gameplay is pretty simplistic, but it's also like got some good tongue-in-cheek humor to it.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it another look now that you've described it to me. But yeah, again, they should have put that a little bit more up front if that was the case.
Yeah, that's fair. The next game that I tried out, it was available as a demo during Steam Next Fest, and it's available for purchase in early access, and it was on a pretty deep discount. And it's a game that I say game. It's not a game. It's a utility that I had my eye on for a good long while. And so not only did I try the demo, but then I went and just bought the early access version of it because it is something called Dungeon Alchemist. And if you play D&D or any other game where you need to generate maps, Dungeon Alchemist is really, really good for that. It's basically a tool where you tell it, hey, I want to generate a tavern or an inn or a cave system or a forest. And then you give it a grid and it will generate that thing in the grid. And then you can like build the rooms. And you tell it like, I want to build a room that is the brewery. And you like space out how much space you want it to take up, and it will fill it with objects and lighting and all of that. And then it has the ability to export those maps to like a virtual tabletop or like Roll20 or that sort of thing. And so I'm planning a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that I thought I would have already had off the ground, but I'm not back in my house yet. And so I'm really excited to be able to use this utility to build maps. I have watched a bunch of different like YouTube demos on the software. And so I bought it because I'm that stoked about it. And it was real. I was amazed that it worked on the Steam Deck, and the fact that it was easy to use on the Steam Deck kind of blew my mind. So I'm really excited about it.
Does it use AI to generate? Like, can you just tell it, I want to have a tunnel system that branches out in 5 different directions, and each direction would spawn 3 encounters, and then it will just design that?
No, so it doesn't do anything with encounters. It's just for the maps.
Okay.
But what you do is you can say like, put a cave in this space, and it will generate the cave, and it will put like pillars in there and like a stream through it, and like maybe there's some rocks over here that'll function as cover. And that's, for me, is always the hardest part as a dungeon master, is like adding in the little details that make the areas feel alive. Like I can picture it in my head, but being able to describe like, oh, and the tables have this pattern to them, and the floors look like this, is always something that's really been difficult for me. And so to have a tool that kind of does that all for me, and if I don't like it, I can hit regenerate room and it'll give me another version of it. And if it's important that something is in there because it's a part of a quest or a clue, or just I think it'll be interesting for combat, I can add all of those things in manually. Like, it's going to save me so much time. I'm so excited about it. It basically does like the part where you map it out on graph paper. You do that, and then it does all of the rest of it. So I'm so stoked. I'm so stoked about
it. That sounds very cool.
Yeah, very exciting stuff.
Very cool.
All right. What's your next game?
So my next game is one I was playing just before we got on to record, which is Dungeons of Hinterberg. How would I describe this game? It looks very cool. The art is like very comic book style art and animation, so it looks very cool. I guess I would describe it as kind of an adventure game. It felt a little bit like, not exactly like Uncharted as far as gameplay goes, but like similar vein of like, go through this kind of open world, but there's clearly a way you're supposed to go and a way you're supposed to get there and unlock this thing to go to this area. I didn't get to do much in the way of combat except for like the tutorial combat. But then there's a really cool like travel mechanic, movement mechanic that gets you around the world. You can, obviously run, but there's also you start picking up spells, and one of the first spells you get is a hoverboard that you then basically like, it's a hoverboard that you're basically like snowboarding around the world. And there are these areas that to get to an area, you have to grind up and down or grind up on a pink rail that appears, and you might have to use your other spell, which is like a laser beam, to unlock more area to grind on to reach somewhere else. So that part of it was really cool. And then basically what happened right before we were getting ready to record.
Buried the lead here real quick. What is the setting of this game?
I really don't know yet.
Okay. Is it the place that I was?
No, the place that I was in looked like a futuristic mountain town. And I was on a snow-covered mountain. And then I was snowboarding.
So this is not set in like a typical high fantasy adventure. This is either present or future. That's really interesting.
To me, it looks like one of those early 2000s like rollerblading games.
Okay.
Where they're like, hey, it's me and the family going to go up against the evil corporation that wants to stop us doing graffiti. And like everybody has pink hair.
Yeah.
That's what it looks
like I've ever loved.
Yeah. That's why I think you should check this out, just because I think you would like the art style of it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say too much about the story or the gameplay because, again, I got a certain amount of the way through and then I got stuck and couldn't figure out how to get out of the inside of this like mountain cave that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
There was clearly a way it wanted me to go, but I couldn't figure out how to get there. And then I spent 15 minutes trying to figure that out and then stopped.
Fair enough. It's not Stardew Valley also.
It also is not Stardew Valley. So it does not deserve my attention.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. I'm going to go through some games that I played rather quickly. Not because they're bad, but just because like there's not a lot to them. The first one is a game called Just Crow Things, which seems like if the like there's Souls likes, and those are like games that are like Dark Souls. This is a Goose like in that it is like Untitled Goose Game. But you're a crow and you like go around the town and you're trying to prove that you're a cool crow because some crows steal your sunglasses, and to get them back from the crows you have to find other animals and do like quests for them, and those quests involve things like ruining a birthday party by popping all the kids' balloons, pooping on 3 people, and destroying the stereo, or like you got to help some birds who are trapped on top of a garage by making a cat wet itself. How do you get the cat not wet itself? Get wet by going underneath like a downspout. How do you get the cat to do that? Oh, well, you grab a fish and you like lure the cat over to the downspout, that sort of thing. It's an isometric crow game. It's a goose-like. That's everything there is to say about it. You got questions?
I'm reading about it right now, and I need to play this. Looks like the demo is still available, so I'm going to be downloading that as soon as we're done here. And I love in the descriptions here, I love the idea of eat delicious foods and discover new poop modes.
Oh, yeah.
I love the sentence, completed tasks to slowly build up your crowputation across diverse settings such as the French Riviera, ancient Egypt, and bustling New York.
Okay.
And I love the phrase, the most fun ways to create adorable chaos, trademark.
Yes. Yeah. You eat different foods and it gives you different poops. Like if you eat a chili pepper, your poop literally sets stuff on fire. Also, like you can pick up like a leaf blower and blow leaves around, which also means that when you pick up like a torch that you would use in the kitchen, I use that to burn down a newspaper stand. So it's a good time. Speaking of good times, I really enjoyed the Spirit Lift, which is kind of like if Slay the Spire were horror themed and you played as 3 characters simultaneously, where each card was tied to a character's ability. So you've got a deck of cards that are made up of the abilities of these 3 different characters, and then you draw them. And so it's like one of them is like the yearbook nerd, and so he has an ability where he'll like flash his camera at all of the enemies and that stuns them. And then one of the other characters is like a jock, and so she can hit them with a baseball bat, and that deals a little bit of damage to every enemy because it's like a swiping motion, like that sort of stuff. It was a really fun little demo, and the interesting part about this was instead of it being like a top down map like you see in Slay the Spire, the hook to this game is that you're traveling on an elevator between different levels, and so the map is first person view as you're walking through a hotel. And so it's like you have to open the door, and inside there might be treasure, there might be monsters, there might be weird encounters, like that sort of thing. So it's a pretty unique take to the traditional Slay the Spire vibe that I really enjoyed. I put it on my wish list.
Yeah, this looks very cool. I could definitely see playing this.
Yeah. And then the last one that I'm going to rapid fire at you is a game called Outrage. Outrage is like if Power Stone was a battle royale, kind of. There was a little while ago, there was like a wrestling battle royale that existed. And this is kind of like the next evolution of that. It's like an isometric. You can pick up like anything on the level and throw it at somebody else. You can pick up enemies and throw them, but only if they're smaller than you. And as you like fight, you build up rage, and that makes you bigger. So it was just like a fun little battle royale fighting game that I enjoyed. I don't know that I'm gonna be like, oh, I have to buy this day one, but it was fun. It had like a decent aesthetic to it. So if you're looking for a fighting game that has like 16 players in it all at once, this is one.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it looks kind of cool. I don't know. It doesn't.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
You got another one that you tried?
Yeah, I got one more. Okay. This is one that came recommended from you, which is, and I have to be honest with you, until right before we recorded, when you said the name out loud, I didn't click for me. But the game is Blue Prince. Blue, the color, Prince, like the son of a king. But if you say it differently, it's blueprints, like a design of a building. Mm-hmm. Completely lost on me, and I feel shamed by that. This game scratches a singular itch for a board game that I really, really love called Betrayal at the House on the Hill. It is essentially that game in video game form where you're exploring a house trying to solve puzzles, but every time you go through a door, you get an option of one of 3 rooms you could be going into, and you're basically building the layout of the house as you go through the door. I painted myself into a corner every time I went through it. Left myself with no exits to go through any new rooms and had to just restart the game essentially. Mm-hmm. I never got to play a second day, but the concept of the game is that you get 50 moves to start with, 50 doors to go through. There are ways to gain more moves, but if you run out of moves, you have to end your day, leave the house, and you can't take any of your things that you found with you. And when you come back the next day, the layout of the house will have reset, but you'll have the information that you learned. Very cool concept. And like I said, I love Betrayal at the House on the Hill. So a video game version of a board game that I've loved for a very long time is that's going to probably get my money.
This is my game of Next Fest. This is the game that I'm most excited about. I played this demo for 5 hours. I love this. I think it is such an interesting and unique puzzle. I beat the demo. Like, there's your goal that they give you at the beginning is like reach the antechamber at the end. But to get into it, you have to like, not only do you have to get there, which requires like some specific drafting and resource management and that sort of thing, but there's also like a puzzle that you have to solve along the way. And it was really difficult. I think it was my 6th or 7th time trying where I actually was able to beat the demo. And it's just so good. Everything about it is brilliant. There's a bunch of different stuff to unlock in the demo. There's things that are like counterintuitive, but then there's some things where it's like when you unlock it, it makes you feel like a freaking genius. I just absolutely love this game. I also totally recognize that this game is only for a very unique subset of people. There is definitely people out there who are like, I don't get it, and have moved on. And I know that because Ganon is one of them. Ganon's like, this game is not for me, you know? I said that earlier about Usurper. Like, this is going to be someone's favorite game. This is my favorite game from Next Fest, and I would not at all be surprised if when it comes out, it is my favorite game of the year because I am so freaking pumped about this.
Huh. So I enjoyed it. I'm excited to play it more, but I can't say I would go that far.
I mean, there's like all these little fun puzzles. Like there's a room called the boudoir that has a safe in it. And I never discovered what the passcode to the safe was because I never unlocked the boudoir at the same time that I had a magnifying glass. And the magnifying glass will let you zoom in on documents in the mansion. And so it's just like, it's stuff like that. Like when I discovered that if you have a key card, you actually want to turn security up higher because it makes it more likely that rooms will be locked with an electronic keypad instead of an old lock. And keys are hard to come by in this game. Like stuff like that is just like, oh man, it's wrinkling my brain so good. I am so stoked about this game.
All right, well, I'm excited to go back to it with all those little hints you just gave me.
Yeah. Yeah, and those are like super minor, so don't feel like I spoiled anything huge for you. Well, I was more talking to the listeners, but like, yeah, everything about the game is great. I love it. Also, there are tons of hints in the demo about like what's going to happen in the main game. I'm just very, very excited about it. The only other game that I want to talk about is one that I spent a couple hours with, actually, and it's called Creatures of Ava. And this is a really interesting game because it is an adventure game, kind of like you mentioned earlier, like an Uncharted or a Legend of Zelda or that sort of thing. But you are a biologist who crash lands on a planet that you are intending to save all of the creatures from because the planet is diseased and dying. And so the point of this game is you have to learn to tame these creatures and become friends with them. So that way you can ship them back up to your space ark. But while these creatures are on the planet, you very quickly in the demo gain the ability to see through their eyes and utilize their abilities to like open up new areas or uncover new items or that sort of thing. They don't fight for you. It's not like a Pokemon kind of thing. It is very much like explore. All of the creatures have different exploration abilities, which is really interesting. And then there's a sentient group of creatures on the planet as well that you're like trying to convince that the planet needs saving and like trying to get them to help you and like open up areas for you. So if you're the type of person who like has an environmentalist bend to you, this is going to be something that you're interested in. If you like fun exploration, this is going to be something that you're interested in. And the combat is okay. It's not like amazing. But that just means that it's going to be available to more people, right? Than if it were like a Souls-like. It's not a difficult game, but it is definitely a very interesting take on a genre that we've already seen a bunch. So I wishlisted this. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now, and the art looks really cool on it. It looks like it reminded me of the Lion King a little bit, like opening scenes of Lion King. So
yeah,
I could see it. I could see it being cool.
It's definitely, the art style is gorgeous. That's a good call out. Yeah. I did not mention that. All of the little creatures that you have to like befriend, they're all like weird and alien but adorable, and some of them are a pain in the ass, and it's exactly what you would want out of a game in which you have to befriend cute creatures.
Sure.
Yeah, pretty cozy, but pretty awesome. So with that in mind, I mentioned that Blueprints is my like favorite game from Next Fest. What was your favorite game from the Next Fest that you tried?
It's unfair to pick. I'm gonna pick Dungeon Crawler, and it's unfair to pick it because it's my favorite because it's the one I spent the most time with. So none of the other ones really got as much time from me or attention from me, and so that's my answer now, but it's almost by default. That said, based on the ones I played, it probably would stay my favorite, but if I can get a hold of this Crows demo, I'm gonna give that a try, and I could see that working its way up too.
Nice. I mean, I had fun with it. I completed the whole demo. It was a good time.
I've never played Untitled Goose Game, but I remember I was at your house once and we watched somebody speed run it, and I was like, I got to try this game, and then I never did.
It's definitely it's one of the games of all time, man. It is. It's a good one. All right. So for our last question, this question is actually sponsored by a community college writing professor. And they say, don't know what to do with your life, but you like words? Try being a community college writing professor. Anyway.
Yeah, it's grim.
Weird. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, let's say you had to make a demo for life. Oh, I see where this is going. And that was going to entice spirits or whatever to buy the full version. What would you include? What would you leave out? Remember, it can't all be rainbows. There's got to be some conflict. And so I guess that's what the writing professor from a community college wants to know. What is your answer for this?
Okay, so I guess this still works when we're enticing spirits. I was more just trying to entice people to have a true real life experience and get to either experience things that they may have never done or re-experience things that they've done before. So first of all, my game is going to require a full-on Ready Player One haptic suit that you'll have to wear to be able to feel everything, because
even
this game,
for the demo.
Even for the demo, yeah. So I'm just going to assume that technology exists and it is like common for this world. Everybody's got one of these. What do you mean you don't have a haptic suit?
Okay, yeah, fine.
So, because this game is literally just about experiencing, and like we're going to go even further and say this haptic suit also has like taste sensors, smell sensors, things like that. So you're living a full immersive experience.
Yeah.
And after that, you're really just going to feel life. You're going to feel what it feels like to eat too much at Thanksgiving, to have your first kiss, to have sex for the first time, to have sex for the third time where you've kind of figured out what you're doing, or to step on a Lego. Your experience is going to vent, like you'll get to make a character, and your experience will vary based on what gender you choose. So if you play as a woman, you'll get to experience childbirth. But if you're a man, you'll get to experience how uncomfortable it is to try to sleep in a hospital chair after your partner has given birth. Yes. They don't care about that there.
I can't imagine why.
I know. All of these things will be in the full game, but for the demo, you're just going to get 5 replayable experiences. So you're going to get to experience your first time trying pizza.
Okay.
Your first time eating biscuits and gravy. Your first time going to a grocery store and realizing they stopped making Rice Krispie Treat cereal.
Okay.
Having a stranger die in your arms. And then the time you go to the grocery store and find out they brought back Rice Krispie Treat cereal. Also, if you donate to the Kickstarter that this game is attached to, after playing the demo, you get to fuck one time, but it's randomized as to if it's good or not.
Just like in real life, a completely random experience.
Yep.
Now, I can't help but notice that having a stranger die in your arms is sandwiched in between things about the Rice Krispie Treat cereal. That makes me believe that maybe all three of those are of the equal importance in your mind.
Rice Krispie Treat cereal, it might be the greatest cereal of all time, and it's devastating that they don't sell it anymore.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
And having a stranger die in your arms is both a humbling, humanizing experience. It's a connection that not everybody gets to have, and also could be very traumatizing. Just like there are a lot of people that never got to have Rice Krispie Treat cereal, and they'll never know what that's like.
Okay, fair enough, I guess. Have you had someone die in your arms?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So here, my version of this, the whole thing is in first person, of course. And I think you've got to start the demo out with a real high, like the last few notes of a song play, and then you are kissing a person or something like that, right? And then it's something dramatic where it's like you're in a car crash where you're in the back seat and the older female driver breaks their leg and they get loaded into an ambulance and you have to call for emergency services and you got to wait for them and like that sort of thing. Maybe the driver is like your mom or an older friend. You don't know. Maybe you're old for that part, but it's first person. So who knows? I don't care. But then you got to do like the stuff that everybody does, right? So like you're boning on a waterbed in front of a mirror, or you're boning in a hot air balloon, or you're boning on a blanket under the stars behind a Carlos Jr. The places we've all done it, that sort of thing. Then you're in a hospital bed looking up and you're seeing the older face of the person that you were kissing in the first scene. And you have to like muster up the words to say goodbye to them. And there's several kids who look like a mix between the two of you that are looking down and you have to like tell them things to like help them move on once you're gone. And then at the end of the demo, everyone's crying and you close your eyes. The camera fades and it just says life in like big letters. And then the credits for the demo roll. And then afterwards, the camera fades back in and you see yourself walking in the rain and you step on a worm and you look down to see it all squished in your toes and shit. You hear yourself say fuck and the camera cuts and that's the whole demo for life.
Wow. But no Rice Krispie Treat cereal.
I never tried it.
Oh, what a hole in your life.
Yep. Is it still available? Did they bring it back?
Unfortunately, they brought it back for a while, but it is unfortunately no longer available.
Okay. Is it just a Rice Krispies treat, but like with milk on it?
No, I see why you'd think that, but it is Rice Krispies that are coated in a marshmallow flavored coating. And then there's like clusters. And then there's also individual Krispies. But they all have this glorious marshmallow coating. And when the milk gets on it, it kind of soaks into the milk. And the milk tastes like marshmallows. And it's wonderful.
It seems fine.
That sounds like the words of somebody who's never had it. So,
I mean, you're not wrong, but I also don't really care for Rice Krispie treats in general. Like, I
can't help you.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, if they bring it back, I'll try it, I guess.
They probably won't.
Yeah.
And my life game is going to be lost on you. So that's fine.
It won't be because I'll get to try it. I'll have the taste sensor or whatever, man.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess that's fair.
Like you're fulfilling a hole in my life that I didn't even know I had until this exact moment, and I'm still not quite.
And someone dies in your arms.
Yeah, there's that part also. Can I skip that
kill
part?
Them? We don't know. No.
Oh shit! There's a mystery.
You don't ever see how they got to your arms.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, not in the demo at least. You got to buy the full game for that.
Yeah, and in that one, you also get to try Circus Fun cereal, which is a discontinued cereal from the 80s.
Man, your life game is. Did you think I meant life like the cereal?
The game is going to be sponsored by Life Cereal, and like you go through this game and like you get to like date and have all of these life experiences, but every morning you get to pick a new cereal to eat, and that's the actual game.
Okay, man.
Everything else is just filler between bowls of cereal, very much like my life.
Checks out. I did forget to mention that in the full version of my game, you do get to see the look on Dan's face when you tell him to fuck off. So,
God, I've always wanted that.
Yeah, right. It's a good time, man. He's got a good face, and when you tell him to fuck off to his face, it's just, ooh, it hits different. It's real good.
Because I really believe that instead of being in on the joke, every week he listens to this podcast and goes, maybe this week they won't say it. And every week when you do, he just goes, oh.
Yeah, that's it. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
He's like, oh man, you guys really got me last week. That sucked. So yeah. Anyway,
his kids won't look at him the same way.
I hope his kids never hear this, man. Be a real bummer for them. Anyway, why don't you tell the people where you can be found?
I can be found most places. J.R.R. Tubbs on Blue Sky and Threads and Instagram and in the Discord, or Ryan McGillen on TikTok. Those are the socials I'm on. You can also find me in my office because it's one of the only rooms that has air conditioning.
Checked out.
And, various board game nights and comic book stores in the Metro Detroit area.
Nice. I am a 20-sided ninja on Discord and on Blue Sky. You got anything else to say about Next Fest?
No, I'm excited to jump back into Stardew Valley and ignore all of these other games.
Perfect. Makes a ton of sense to me. The only other thing I have to say is thank you so much to all of our Patreons or patrons on Patreon for supporting the show. You're the main reason that this show is able to still be free. If you are like, hey, I want to support the show, but I can't give any money, or I don't want to give money. Maybe you're just like, I don't put my credit card on the internet kind of person. That's totally fine too. Show this show to like a friend or a family member or a coworker, or just make copies of it and put it on USB drives and leave them places. I don't care how you promote it, but we don't pay to promote the show. So your word of mouth goes a long way. Outside of that, I think that's everything. Say goodbye.
That sounds like everything to me. All right. Bye.
Goodbye. Hope you have a super okay day.